I'm a firm believer that whenever you're shooting something, you should never let your equipment get in the way of your end product. If you and your friends are making a movie and there's a chase scene and you're holding your camera out of the window, I mean, hold on. Don't think about it before you do it, but don't ever let the cost of a camera stop you from getting a shot. Because if you shoot with a conservative mindset, and don't push these boundaries, how are you supposed to get that cinematic look or get that spectacular shot where the audience goes, how did they do that? And it's because you put yourself there. And you always have to put yourself there. But you always have to look out for yourself. A filmmaker's safety, the cam op safety, is always more important. Your life is worth so much more than your cameras. So don't, it's within, there's a balance. But if you think about all the possible scenarios of, what could go wrong, how, am I wearing the right shoes? Are my shoes tied? If I need to run out of the way, am I able to do that? If something falls, am I able to get out of the way? And having that awareness of your surroundings on location is huge. And a lot of times when an accident does happen, someone or something didn't account for that possibility. There was a time I was with a good friend Sammy and Zumi. We were at a car show at a drag strip. I can't remember the name of the drag strip. Maybe I'll be able to put it. But we were there and there was a burnout circle. And so cars were doing burnouts and the whole crowd was in the stands and people would go in and some people tried doing it and it was bad. But this guy pulls up in a beaten green, I think it was a green Pontiac. And I mean, it was not a good looking car. But he gets on it and is slaying the tires. And I'm standing there with my camera and there's the flag girl standing right next to me, like the model girl. And all of a sudden, I am in this massive cloud of smoke. I can't see anything. There's rubber flying everywhere. It's getting in my nose, my eyes, my mouth. I'm breathing it. I am in this cloud of tire smoke. And all of a sudden, off to my left, I hear someone starting to yell, fire. And I was like, oh shit, there's a fire. And right in front of my eyes, there's a fire out the back of this car. And I got off to the side out of the way. They come in and they're able to extinguish it. And of course the crowd is going wild and it's like the coolest thing they've ever seen. But, cars have gasoline and, there was a chance that something could have gone very wrong. Luckily, everything was okay. And he did go on to win the burnout competition, which rightfully so, because, I mean, if you light it was cool. I mean, it was really cool. But something could have gone wrong. And, that same show, later on, there's these, I forget the kid's name, but he was a professional pogo sticker. And I know it's like, pogo sticks, but these were those
Yep, they really doing a music video over there.
They're like, doo-doo. I mean, they were freaking sick. And he was like, yo, can I front flip over you? So I was like, yeah, I guess. And so I just kneeled on the ground and then he front flips right over me.
Yeah, serious.
And I was like, it didn't ever occur to me that he could just drop down and, it was fine. I mean, it was nothing high risk. But then we raised the stakes and said, well, what if you front flip over a Lamborghini? Now, it wasn't my car. If he punctured the windshield, that's not my problem. But when you get a mob mentality and you get a lot of people and you have this spectacle, a lot of times people start to forget that there is a stunt that's being performed. Now, he was a professional pogo sticker, but there's sometimes people get a little bit loose and lax. One of the things I found fascinating was, are people drawn to the car? I mean, Ferruccio Lamborghini made, pioneered, some of the greatest cars ever made. But here's this kid with a stick and, doing one of the most amazing, it's the human body. That's something that no one is able to recreate. Yet everyone was just almost fascinated with the car a little bit more. And as a filmmaker, when I make something or when I go to shoot something, cinema is about the human condition. There's always some emotional attachment, and that's, as an artist, those are the things that we wanna find. And so you take a situation like that and you look at the footage and you begin to realize, as you look at this crowd, that people are almost focused on the car a little bit more than that flip. And if you take that and you extrapolate on that, you can see how materialism, is almost what that clip was about. People were drawn to something that wasn't the gentleman doing the flip. They were very much drawn to this car.
He's going for it. Oh!
They're almost missing the point. And there's something beautiful about being that outside observer. And as a filmmaker, whenever you're in any situation, whether it be dangerous, whether it be an interview, whether it be you're on set shooting a comedy, as a director or cinematographer, always be aware of what's going on. Because if something is risky, why is it risky? But what is the point? It's that flip is, that shot had a marvel of machinery, and it had a Lamborghini. And I think as you look at what you're doing, and you begin to find those little gems of storytelling, I think you're able to see the bigger picture. There's another show, we were at Pocono Raceway, and it was it was just another car meetup, and they had a drifting circle. And, it was like a rectangular place, and they had a lot of cars coming in that were doing drifting. And there was this police car, it was an old BMW that repurposed that was like, drift police. It was a badass car. It had like the sirens, like the megaphone and everything. And I was standing there in the pit, everyone's standing behind me with a fence, and I'm there, and this car's whipping around, and I had my camera, my Canon, and I had my Sony, and I was shooting photos and filming at the same time. And I got some really cool shots, and I also got some really cool footage of him just whipping by. He knew I was there, and so there was these 60, 85 gallon drums, whatever, those big trash can looking tubs. And it was out there for the cars to kind of drift around and dance around and interact with. And all of a sudden he comes whipping around, and off the tail end, he hits it. And this drum is barreling towards me. Right in line with my camera. And I'm looking at the camera, I'm looking at the barrel, and it's like that Frisbee coming right to your face. And I had to think to myself, is it worth my camera getting hit for the shot? Is it worth me getting hit for the shot? Or should I just step out of the way? And I did choose to step out of the way, and it zipped by, and it hit the chain link fence. And, I may have been able to stop it if I put my foot out, but I didn't want to risk anything. It really wasn't worth it. And at the end of it all, I got a great story out of it with a half-decent lesson. So when there's a barrel coming at you, and life throws barrels all the time, You need to be aware of where you can go. Do you jump to the right? Do you take a step back? Do you run at the barrel? Well, don't run at the barrel if it's a literal barrel, but if it's a metaphysical barrel, you can run at some of them. You just always want to be aware of what you're doing and stay conscious and make sure that if you have a crew, if you have people working under you or working with you, that you go through your safety measures. You make sure that everyone is aware of what's happening. If you're doing a stunt or you're doing something that's dangerous, make sure everyone is aware of what's going on. You never want to take any chances, but if you do things safely and you do things with good intent, you can get some of the most mind-bending and miraculous shots in all of cinema. Take what Tom Cruise does with some of his stunts. It takes so much training, it takes so much work, but when they execute and they're able to do something that makes someone go, wow, humans can do that? You have yourself a good story. Is that good?
That was great. That was great. That was it.
Let me get a new car.